bottled it, but I believe it's a bit over 2 weeks old now, so still pretty young as far as the beer goes. I usually like to leave these things maybe 3 or 4 weeks before trying them, but I can't wait to try this one. I'm really curious to see if it's good or bad or mediocre. So, as promised, I'd put a video up for this one. I've been pretty slack with the tasting videos and any videos, so let's get this one up and let's pour it and see what happens. Alright, let's see if I can get that to hold. There we go. Alright. It's a nice colour. At least it didn't turn out pink. I was wondering. Okay, so yeah, you can see it's not quite ready yet, isn't it? It still needs a bit of carbonation. The bubbles have already worn off. It's only been in the glass for what, I don't know, 10 seconds. So yeah, definitely not ready. But that's alright. We want to try the flavour of this beer anyway. So I'll obviously be drinking more of this in a few weeks' time, hopefully when the carbonation's kicked in. But let's give it a taste and see what she's like. Another one. Okay. So first thoughts. It is definitely got a different taste to the standard Woolies homebrand batches that I've been making. Not a huge amount of difference, but it definitely has a bit of a slightly more bitter edge to it, which is actually a good thing in this case. Not a very strong one, but it is slightly more bitter than I'm used to with these, so that's good. Clearly undercarbonated, so yeah, I'm not really getting a lot of good. Yeah, a nice carbonated beer does taste better. There's always an element to that. But back to the beer itself. And this is actually something a commenter mentioned, and I had a feeling they were going to be right about it. It is a fairly dry beer, actually. It's definitely a dry beer. There's not much mouthfeel to it at all. Can I taste any fruitiness to it? Let's try that again. I would say yes, but it's an incredibly subtle taste. I'm looking for a fruity taste when I'm drinking this, but it's not screaming out at me that there's one there. Maybe it's just me thinking it's something there that's not really there because I'm looking for it. But look, if I just gave this to a random person and said, hey, try this beer I just made, and I'd be, okay, give it a try. I don't think they're going to come back and say, oh, this tastes like strawberries, because it certainly doesn't taste like strawberries. There's a very, very minor hint of strawberries, or I don't want to say citrus, but there is a bit of a fruitiness to it, which, yes, I could assign as a strawberry taste, knowing that there's strawberries in there. But it is very, very subtle. Certainly didn't overpower the beer itself. So with that in mind, was this a success? Was it a failure? Would I try it again? What would I do differently? Now, I'm not calling it a failure because it's not a bad beer. It doesn't taste like a bad beer. Like, I've had beers I've opened up and gone, yeah, I don't think I like this one. This is not that. This is actually a salvageable batch. Given it something I spent a whopping, 12 plus 4 for the strawberries. 16 bucks for a batch of beer. It's cheap enough to experiment with, and it's not terrible. It's definitely got that going for it. So, success or fail, I'd put in neither of those categories because I don't believe it's a success either. It is still lacking in some departments. What can I learn from it? Okay, there's no mouthfeel. Using dextrose as the only fermentable on top of the kit is what I've been sort of playing around with for a while now. And yes, it does make drier beers. But I don't think it's probably the best idea in this case. It works fine for most lagers, or just standard watery, crappy lagers that I'm making, but if I'm going to try to do something a little bit different, I don't think it worked. I would probably stick with a light dry malt or a liquid malt to add to this instead of using dextrose as your prime fermentable addition to the beer. Even better, if you could, in the process of boiling the strawberries, if you could add some light dry malt to the boil, you'd probably get a better taste to it, I think. And that's something I wouldn't mind trying next time around. What about the dry hops, the Chinook that I put in there? Yeah, I mean, they're good. That's actually a good thing. I have no problems with that. There is a nice aroma that I'm getting from that, but I definitely I know that aroma has come from the hops, not from anything else I've done to this batch. So yeah, the Chinook actually works quite well with this. It does add a little bit of, I don't know, it makes it a little bit nicer than it would be without it. I wouldn't say it's necessary for the batch, but I mean, look, dry hopping is an easy way to add a little bit of enjoyment to any batch of beer, no matter what you do, to be honest. So yeah, I would definitely dry hop again. Would I use Chinook? Not necessarily. I just had that on hand and I wanted to use it. I couldn't give a recommendation for what hop to dry hop with this because I'm not really good at knowing what hops go with what. I'm still in the experimentation phase myself, and even after I've done the experiments I tend to forget the results, so I'm kind of at square one every time. So I stick to what I know quite a lot. That's why I'd use Cascade a fair bit, or whatever I have on hand. I've got a lot of C hops on hand, Cascade, Chinook. I don't even remember the other ones' names, but that's the sort of ones I sort of have with me. They're the ones I use a lot. But yeah, so definitely dry hop it with something. I do like dry malt instead of dextrose. Would it be worth doing it with a better base kit instead of a home brand thing? Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the home brand kits. They're not bad, but obviously they're $8 for a reason. There's got to be something funny about them. I got really into the Cooper's Draft kit lately. You've probably seen a few videos over the last few months where I had done a few batches of them. And as far as just simple, basic beer goes, it makes a good beer. So it'd actually be interesting to try making it maybe with Cooper's Draft instead of Woolies. Something different. I might try that next time. Don't know if it's going to make a huge impact on the taste. Would I use strawberries or would I use another fruit? Next time I might go with something more tropical, maybe like mango or something like that, if I did it at all. I have tried dry hopping fruit before, and I'd be open to doing it again, but I always feel that that's very risky. You're putting in fruit which potentially has God knows what on it into a live batch of beer. You never know what's going to happen. I think I got lucky last time, and I think pretty sure when I was fermenting it, there was definitely an off smell. Like I felt like I made a sour at some point, but the beer ended up turning out fine in the end. It was a gamble. I don't know if I'd quite gamble again with that. Not at this point. So yeah, I'll try again. I'll probably do another fruit beer of some sort coming up. Slightly different technique to what we've done this time around. But anyway, long and short of it is give it a try. Give your fruit beers a go. Do something different. Do something similar. Do whatever you want, really. Maybe make it from an ale instead of a lager. It'd actually work quite well with like a pale ale kit maybe, or a real ale, something like that. Anyway, this is quite a long video for a tasting, and I've only had about 3 or 4 sips in, what, 10 minutes, so I'm getting back to the beer, and then I'm going to go to bed probably, because it's a work night and it's late. So yeah, have a good one everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll keep these fruit videos coming. I'll try to make a little series out of them. Apologies for the slow uploads. I'll get to them when I get to them. Just not doing a lot of brewing these days, but I'll do what I can. Cheers.